Sup tube, welcome back to Guido's Chop Shop, second best gel blaster channel on the tubes. Now if you watched any of my recent Gearbox torture test videos and you liked them, or you commented on them, or you subscribed from watching them, then this is on you. This is your fault. You are the reason that this is about to happen. I have the LDX Expert 7075 CNC box kit. Why don't they just call it a gearbox? This is the Expert version of the LDX. And if you believe what's written on the box, it is a 7075 alloy CNC gearbox. It looks, aside from the colour, very, very similar to the Advanced and the beginner. What's the blue one? Whatever. The other one, the blue one, you know. It looks very, very similar, albeit with a couple of differences. I mean, they claim it's 7075. Is that what they say? Yeah, 7075 alloy. They also claim it's CNC'd. Now, it is definitely a different material to the other gearboxes. I don't have any way of proving whether it is or is not what they say it is, but you can see there is radiusing that has been performed, particularly on this rear end here. If you remember when I did the basic, not beginner, that's what it's called, the basic. I did the basic, it split back here, so this is radiused here, and it's apparently a better alloy as well. So, not to mention it's also got a MOSFET in it. Not that that is going to affect much that we're doing here. Just going to take a look at this retainer as well. Ah, yes, okay. So the retainer's got a thrust bearing as well, which the basic doesn't have. It was brought up in the comments on my last video that this gets brought up a lot. This is not a good thing to do. Don't randomly dry fire blasters until they explode. Don't do what Donnie Don't does. I'm Donnie Don't. Don't do it. This is not good for your gearbox in any way, shape or form. The purpose of this test is not about being kind to the gearbox. The purpose of this test is to make it break. So we want worst possible scenario. And one of the things that was mentioned is that it should be in a receiver. Yes, it should. And also it should have a buffer tube bolted to the rear of it to support this spring guide. And it was mentioned that perhaps those two things would make the gearbox stronger. Yes, having a buffer tube, see what's happening here, this spring's just sort of popped out of place there. So that happens sometimes, and having a buffer tube screwed on here would certainly prevent that from happening. However, that's not really going to stop the box from breaking. It's just a nice to have. Do you know what I mean? Like having like the support of a receiver is going to definitely give this box some external support, but I mean, if you're relying on your receiver to hold your gearbox together, then you're doing it wrong. That's the long and the short of it is, yes, having all these extra things will definitely make everything a lot smoother for you. But if your gearbox is gonna break, it's gonna break. I feel that if you believe that your receiver is what's holding your gearbox together, then yeah, you're probably doing it wrong. Anyway, regardless, I don't care. I'm here to break this. And so that's what I'm going to do. For what it's worth, it does look like it does look like it's of a better quality than the basic or the advanced, for that matter. I think the basic and the advanced are the same, albeit with MOSFET in the advanced. I think the gearboxes are the same for the basic and the advanced. Let's break this. Let's break it. Let's do it. Okay, taking into account that I have already given this a bit of a thrashing in my previous video. If you didn't watch that, go back and watch that. We're gonna add that time already spent onto the total here, and we're gonna give it another 4 minutes and 20 seconds ish. Alright, now hopefully the selector stays in place. Let's go. And that's time. Now, during that 5 minutes of thrashing, I did see I saw a couple of bits of black plastic shooting out of the top of this. There's a couple of little fragments shooting out of the top. Don't mind these are not part of it, but there was a couple of bits flew out the top. So, it'd be interesting to see what that is. I apologize also during this video. There is a bit of background noise. It's my 3D printer whirring away. There are shards of metal on my desk. Shards of metal. That's not a good sign for the old LDX Advance here. Expert, sorry, Expert? I always get the Expert and the Advanced mixed up, but this is indeed the Expert. I got a feeling that there might be some minor failures. It doesn't look too bad. Hang on, we're going to pull this apart and have a closer look. Well, I've just had a quick look at this box, and it looks like the spring retainer has actually broken in the back here. So I might pop that out. That's where the metal shards are coming from. That's broken off. In the spirit of sanding it, I'm just going to whack another one in, and I'm going to up this spring to M100. We'll see how we go. I don't know what these bits of black plastic are. I think they might actually be small sections of the piston, perhaps. Either way, we're going to send it until it completely, totally fails, and then we'll do a bit of an autopsy on it later. Alright, just gotta get these gears aligned. And let's send it for another minute, I guess. Alright, let's go. Okay. So the spring retainer has actually popped out a spot, and the MOSFET's crying about it. So I might have to actually physically restrain this retainer. Now, I touched on this at the start of the video. I didn't want to have to do this, but I still stand by what I said earlier on, where the retainer itself shouldn't affect the overall strength of the gearbox. So I mean, I'm gonna brace up this retainer here so that it doesn't flex. A well-designed retainer should stay put regardless, but as it turns out, the spring retainer in this one is not particularly well designed, and it does want to have the bracing of a buffer tube in there. Keeping in mind, not all blasters have buffer tubes, like SCARs, AKs, AUGs, FALs. There's a whole lot that don't actually have a buffer tube, so this bracing would not be present in the blaster anyway. So this is like a additional thing. Sometimes with some retainers you will get the ones that just don't want to stay straight, so you will have to brace them. And I didn't want to have to do it because I wanted to keep everything equal, but in this case it seems I can't go up a spring from the standard one without bracing the retainer. And as it turns out, we've already broken one retainer, so I guess got to do what you got to do. But again, as I said, this shouldn't affect the strength of the gearbox. I mean, if this is going to break, it's still going to break, regardless of how straight your spring retainer is. If your gearbox is weak, it's weak. Do you understand what I'm saying? This shouldn't have any bearing on the strength of this. All right. Anyway, that said, let's send it. Oh, I disconnected my power for safety. Alright. Well, let's go. Alright. It's time. Let's whack a bigger spring in it. Yeah, the problem with this bracing is I'm going to have to undo it each time I whack a bigger spring in. Alright. content time. I'll tell you what, I don't know if you can see the metal shavings on my desk here, but they are coming from the back of this gearbox. They're coming from the spring retainer seat. So I have a feeling if I didn't have this spring retainer in, spring retainer. If I didn't have this bracing, the spring retainer seat would be getting eaten away, and it would eventually be the failure point of this box, which is disappointing, really, because, like, I mean, you've got a box that is made of a stronger alloy with radiuses in the right spot. Alright, M110, torture time. Let's go. Alright. Two things happened there. My screw worked out its way loose, and something happened here. Alright. Okay, so just on inspection, it appears that I don't think there's any failure here. I think it's just these screws have just worked their way loose from vibration. I think if I just tighten this one back up again and tighten this one back up again, we should be good. Hopefully. Alright, so I think some things are broken in here. So let's just take a minute to take this down and have a look. I'm just going to pop the top off of it. Now, I mean, we know that we've had issues with the spring retainer staying in its place, and that's one thing. But I think I noticed. Let me just drop the motor from this, just so that we don't have any tension on the gears. Yeah, alright, look. So we've lost our anti-reverse here. Whee! So, looks like maybe the anti-reverse spring inside there has gone. So what I'll do is I'll pop this apart and we'll have a look inside and see what other carnage is in there. Now obviously the best thing about having a split box is the ability to separate your drivetrain from your air chamber. So you've got your gearbox down the bottom and your cylinder up the top, so you can focus on your air seal up top. You can only disassemble that if you need to focus on your air seal, or if it's your powertrain that you need to focus on, then it's down here in the gears. Now, I imagine, well, there's got to be an anti-reverse latch that's broken here. May not be the only thing. Alright. Everything's looking actually in pretty good order, except we are missing a leg on the old AR latch spring here. So you can see that there's a leg missing. Now, interesting question would be, where's it gone? Not really sure where it's gone. Floating around there somewhere. There's a bit of something there on that. It's not it though. It's even possible that it's dropped down and gotten stuck to the motor, because the motor is magnetic. No, I don't know where that's gone. Could actually be under this gear, but I don't want to take this out just because the Hall effect sensor for the sector gear there is it's just in an awkward spot there, and I don't want to have to move it if I can avoid it. The gear's still looking in pretty good order. I guess while we're here, might as well look at this problem child of a top end. I'll just take this this bit off. And ideally you'd do that with a screwdriver or something. Alright, that's interesting. Spring didn't want to come out of that piston, I wonder why. The rack looks like it's still in pretty good nick. Guess we'll just pop this apart and have a look. Alright. Well, there's no signs of any hairline fractures or anything in this upper unit that I can see so far. Oh, there is a additional screw hole on this side as well. For reasons unknown. It's really weird because that's right where they've radiused the box, but seems like it's maybe a bit thicker there or a bit stronger or something. It's definitely not the same material. Whoa! Wow! Yeah, alright. That's from that spring retainer. So much mess. That's interesting. It's got an O-ring nozzle, but it's still got a nylon cylinder head. And not a great seal either. Like, it's not a... It's like some Gen 8 style seal there. Okay, so I found why there was random chunks of plastic. Some of the pistons been sort of chewed up a little bit, probably by the the spring retainer. This is a horrible spring retainer, I just got to say. Look at the damage that it's doing inside here. This is what's going to break. Right in here, look at that. That is it's gonna wear its way out the back of this thing, and it's just gonna punch a hole into the back of the gearbox and let that spring retainer fly out. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna clean this up. I'm just gonna give it a bit of a wipe, get all this gunge out of here, and give it a new anti-reverse spring, and then send it. See what happens. So it's yeah. I'm not gonna jump to any conclusions just yet. We'll see what happens when I do the rest of this video. So, if nothing else, this gearbox, it does look like it is CNC'd. I had my doubts on whether or not it was actually CNC and whether or not it is the alloy that they claim it is, but it is CNC, and it's a light, sort of seems like a light solid alloy, whatever it is. I don't know if it's 7076 or whatever, but the retainer is just chewed away at this, and the spring retainer is arse really. The tabs on it, if you look at this versus say like another retainer that I've got here, let me bring them up. So you can see the tabs on this retainer are quite big versus the tabs on this one, which are tiny. These ones actually stick out quite a bit, and they're flat on the edges. These ones are rounded off on the edges, and I don't think they were particularly flat to begin with. And even if they were flat, there's not a lot of meat there. And so it's never, ever gonna sit flat in there. If you have a good spring retainer and a good box, it should be able to sit there flat without too much issue. But if it's wiggling around in here, or if this is not flat at the back here, then this is never gonna stay flat. And this is why, oh sorry, focus. And this is why I've had to do this. And I mean, if you have an M4, then that's fine, because you can put a buffer tube bolt in it. But if you've got a scar, then you don't have a buffer tube bolt. So this would be useless for that. Right, well, I am going to put this back together, and I am going to replace the anti-reverse catch. And I am going to put an M120 in it, and I am going to send it. Let's do it. Alright, pop all this back together. At least I've got the little engravings to tell me where to put the screws. You know, that's not enough. It's not enough. Rather than just saying screw, 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 it should have M3 2mm hex panhead screw and M3 2mm hex countersunk screw, and rather than just telling me the direction of rotation, it should tell me 8mm bearing, and this is the spur gear, and that's the sector, and it should tell me everything engraved on the outside of the box. This is not enough. Not doing your job good enough. There should be more. This is sarcasm. Alright, I'm going to finish putting this shit together. Alright, now that we got this thing back together, we can get rid of this M110. And bring in M120. I'll put that one in, and of course put this stupid retainer in. And
Guess I'll have to put this clampy thing in as well, just to hold it in place. Might actually even get some Loctite on that, just so that we're not messing around. I did off camera. I got I got annoyed with this bolt that I just threw on the floor that was holding this grip in, so I actually changed the pinion height on the motor so that I don't have to have that bolt, and I actually made it so high that the lowest position on this is high enough that it doesn't even matter if that screw falls out. It doesn't matter, it's fine. So that will stop the screw vibration issues there. I might, like I said, whack some Loctite on this so that that doesn't vibrate out. Alright, just time to send it. Alright, well, MOSFET's complaining about something. So the original LDX Advanced that I got a long time ago came with a little manual, which is this, for the bigger MOSFET. However, it's only a quick start guide. It doesn't actually cover error codes or anything. This LDX Advanced came with nothing actually. It didn't come with any documentation. I even scanned this QR code. It just actually takes me to WeChat. So I don't know what the code means. Who knows? I guess I'll have to keep going. Let's keep going. Let's just. Who knows? Let's go. Alright. So I just power cycled the thing, unplugged it, plugged it back in again, and I let it cool down for a little bit. So it's likely that the MOSFET might have even been going into like a thermal shutdown or like an automatic shutdown to protect itself, which is good. I think this ran the 120 for a good minute without destruction. Is it 120 I got in there? Yeah, it's 120. Shall we move up? Shall we move up a spring? Let's do it. Alright, I got a M140 here. I don't have an M130. I got an M140. So I'll whack that one in and see how it goes. Now, I think if this one doesn't kill it, I've Loctited this in now, so it's going to be hard for me to get it undone. I think if this doesn't kill it, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. I was expecting, oh jeez. I mean, I'm going to do this off, I'm going to undo this off camera. It's Loctite, it's pain. Alright. So. Try and get this gearbox out without shooting it across the, sorry, get the spring out of the gearbox without shooting it across the room. Alright, just looking at the carnage in the back of this thing. And it's gonna lose it. I'm calling it now. When this fails, it's gonna fail out the rear end of this box. From this thing grinding on it. That's where it's gonna go. I mean, let's not forget the other minor failures we've had along the way, but we'll load it up with the 140, and like I said, if this thing doesn't kill it, I'm not going to bother going much higher than this, because I think what's going to happen is the MOSFET's just going to start shutting me down if I try to go any higher. And this thing, when it goes, it's going to go with a bang. I feel like I'm going to have to protect myself from spring flying out the back here. Alright, M140, time to send it. I'm genuinely scared. This is the first time I've sort of been genuinely scared for this. That's time. Full minute on the 140. Wow. All right, I think I'm going to stop this here, because I think the amount of time left on the end of this. Should we go? Should we go 150? Should we go 150? Oh damn it! I'm going 150. Going 150. Yeah, let's just do it. My main concern is that when the back end of this goes, it's going to shoot an M150 spring out the back, potentially into things. Yeah, I'm going to have to me into me. Dear. All right. Let's do this. Alright. Oh jeez. Guys, just hang on. You gotta see this. You gotta see this to understand my fear. Okay, so the back of this box is literally hanging on by that much. It's not good. It's a bit scary. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Okay. M150. Let's do it. Let's get it over with. It's going to be an effort to get the thing in here, I think. Alright. Alright, here we go. M150, this will be the last test. If it survives a minute on this, then we'll declare this box the victor. Okay. Contact. That's time. That's time. Alright. Well, what can I say? It's survived. Alright, we have had one failure. The negative wire finally snapped off. Positive's still going strong. Big improvement from the previous LDX I did, where these things didn't last very long at all. Soldering's still not much chop, but the wires definitely lasted longer. Anti-reverse spring snapped early on in the piece. I did find the broken bit that broke off, by the way, in case you were wondering. So I was actually gonna say how good these wires were on this one because they hadn't snapped off yet. But then, yeah, of course, that one snapped in the last run. But still, rocking the M150 for a full minute. Like a full minute of M150 after copping a minute of M140, M120, M100, M110, like full. This box has taken a freaking beating, and the only things that have sort of clapped out on it is, yes, the spring retainer was garbage, and the anti-reverse spring, and a little bit of solder. The piston, hang on, wait, is it, let's take this apart and make sure, because the piston copped some damage early on and it still kept on going. So let's take this apart and see what it's like inside after copping this much abuse. Oh man, I can literally see how close to coming out that spring guide retainer is on the back there. I can see it is so close. That's not the end of the world though. I mean, you can fix that. You can work around that. The fact that there's like zero hairline cracks or anything around any of these radiused corners, I mean, that's pretty good. This bit of tape was just so that it would stay in full auto throughout the entire test. Get rid of that. Take the top off of it. The tapper plate spring still solid throughout the whole thing. There's like zero wear on that piston on the rack teeth there. And all the gears still look great. I'm going to pop this motor off and then we'll have a look inside. Perfect timing, my 3D print just stopped as well, so no more whirring away in the background. Just undo these screws, take a look. How the inside is looking. Well, the bearings look good. I haven't seen any signs of failure. Certainly plenty of lube kicking around this gearbox. Right, let's take a look at these gears. Oh jeez, they look like brand new. There's no wear on them at all. That's nice. Colour me impressed. I'm impressed. The gears held up. The MOSFET shut itself down when it was getting too hot. I believe that's what the story was when it shut down. No signs of cracks up top.
return spring on the tappet's good. If I could say one thing, LDX, you almost nailed it. If you could have put a decent spring retainer in this thing, then none of these problems we had up in the top end would have mattered at all. Everything in here is still good. Survived. I'm surprised and impressed. Surprised and impressed, people. There you go. Well, it's been fun. Don't forget, if you want to buy one of these sweet patches, hit me up on a face page, Low Guido's Chopters, and you can buy one of those from me. And also, if you didn't want a patch, you just wanted to shout me a coffee or something, there's a link down below. Buy me a coffee. Cheers, shout outs to my Buy Me a Coffee supporters. Adam Hoy. Peace.